is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are FC.
3 strikeouts tonight. 4 would be unbelievable. Another one.
Gordon on the run. Gordon still running, reaches out. Does he make the catch? He does. The entire team is raising their cap to Alex Gordon.
And that is crushed to center field. Royals baseball in sunny Kansas City. What a beautiful night we have tonight, and a sellout crowd at Kauffman Stadium for Game 2 between the Royals and the Orioles. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joe Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery are coming up. Highlights from this homestand: the Royals are 3-1 so far. They're doing all the things people expected them to do. Bullpen, defense, the bats are starting to warm up. But so far, maybe the starting rotation is overachieved.
Especially at the beginning of the season, people thought that the starting rotation was going to be the weakest point of this ball club. But so far on this homestand, it's been great. Last 5 games, they are getting it done. And as a matter of fact, all the starters are in the driver's seat from Kia. It's been great to see. Hitting their spots, keeping the opponent's average low. Earned run average almost under 2. Way to go, fellas. Keep it up.
And that run began with a start from Chris Medlin in Oakland, and it's Medlin tonight starting Game 2 with the Orioles. And of course, this rotation is backed up by the best bullpen in the major leagues. Joel and Monty will talk about that right after this.
And it will be rocking on the inside for a sold-out crowd tonight. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery back down on the field. It was the combination of HHD last night, but there's another missing element that's important.
Right, I think Joakim Soria will be a big mix and be a big part of this bullpen. He's going to get things figured out, and they're going to need him down the stretch.
So the HHD last night, our Kubota Power Stats, Hochevar, Herrera, Davis. What did you see?
Well, I saw guys that went in, they really got right to business. Luke Hochevar did exactly what we've seen all year. Calvin Herrera with the gas to finish off the batter, and then Wade Davis, a 9-pitch save. Love to see the efficiency from Wade Davis last night.
So the bullpen took care of business, as did Chris Young, pitching excellent out of the rotation. Moose put on a show last night. Rex Hudler's playing days are over, but that's not going to stop him from grabbing a bat and showing us what Moose is doing so well. That's next.
Two pitches into the game, and the Royals had a 2-0 lead on Mike Moustakas' 6th home run of the year. Our Toyota League leaders covers his 5-game hitting streak, where he has 3 home runs in his last 3 games. He has driven in 4. Let's go out to the Little K. How many things are going right for Mike Moustakas, Rex Hudler?
2 things. Moose is waiting till the ball gets deep towards the catcher's glove. And number 2, his head position is allowing him to get his hands through the ball with some authority to left field. If he pulls his head on the swing, everything's open. He can't go that way with authority. He holds his head right here. He keeps the swing. He's right there. His head is staying, and he's shooting that ball down the left field line. It's a beautiful thing. Stay hot.
And Chris Medlin would like to pitch with an early lead, as Chris Young did last night. We'll talk about the starting pitchers for tonight's game after this. first start for the Orioles this year and just his 6th major league start. And Chris Medlin, the Royals' number 5 starter, is making just his 3rd start of the year. He was skipped early on with all the days off. And Medlin, in his last start at Oakland, pitched well. He had to work around 4 walks, but when it was all said and done, just 2 hits in 6 1/3 innings, 86 pitches, and said about the second half of that game forward that he felt like he was back on track. And he's going to need that tonight as he faces the Baltimore Orioles. Chris Young, Luke Hochevar, Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis held the Orioles to just 2 runs on 5 hits last night. Game 2 with the Royals and the Orioles is coming up next. Is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Beautiful night. The Royals take the field in front of a sellout crowd. Tonight was the replica World Series trophy giveaway, and fans were lined up around the ballpark a good 3 hours before the first pitch tonight. And we'll see what happens as far as the energy in the game, but the energy before the game would remind us of last year's postseason.
Without a doubt. How refreshing it is on April 23rd to come to the ballpark and see the fans already there at 3 or 3:30. Come out here, feel the energy. This crowd is looking forward to be entertained tonight. Medlin, he's a guy that can keep the string of starting pitching going. Take that baton from Chris Young last night and eat up 6 innings. Hopefully you hold these birds down. They're really tough. He's going to use his fastball, cut fastball, change up in a curve, and keep it ball down and use the movement, use the location, and he could be all right.
Looking at the Orioles lineup, Matt Wieters is back in the starting lineup, the Orioles switch hitting catcher. And in left field, Hyun-Soo Kim from South Korea. The Orioles, remember, they began the season 7-0 and now have won just 3 of their last 8 games after the Royals beat them last night 4-2, holding down that powerful offense to just 2 runs on 5 hits. Here are the Royals defensively. It's been the same setup Since the return of Gerard Dyson, Gordon, Kane, Dyson in the outfield, Moustakas, Escobar, Infante, Hosmer on the infield, and Salvador Perez will be calling the game for Chris Medlin. And now our umpiring crew. There's the crew chief, Jeff Nelson. He is at second base. Laz Diaz will be back at the plate, with Corey Blazer at first and Doug Eddings at third. All in great spirits.
They are. It's a festive atmosphere here.
Joey Rickard, the Rule 5 pick, in his first big league season was 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts last night, and Medlin throws a fastball for a strike.
Right at his average velocity at 90. Now he might turn it up to go 92. Maybe we'll see a 93, but he's comfortable around 88 to 90 and gets good movement on his pitches.
Jammed him. Escobar has to hurry. Rickard runs well. 2 pitches and 1 away for Medlin.
Salvador Perez, he's involved in every pitch, and he also knows where to place his defenders. Check him out here. Watch his glove. Okay, that means he's coming in. Hey, Moose, be alive. Jammed him. Perfect spot. Stay out of the middle. That's going to be the key for Medlin.
One out to Manny Machado. Quite likely the hottest hitter in the major leagues right now. Medlin is below the knees, a good spot for him. Machado was 1 for 4 last night, but that one hit extended a couple of streaks. First of all, his overall hitting streak, which is the longest in the major leagues, and there's a base hit into center field, so make it 16 consecutive games for Machado. And that home run gave him a streak of 6 straight games with at least 1 extra base hit.
Yeah, he's a lot better than Moose right now. I'll say not a lot better, but he's hot. And I mean, you know, when he goes up there real calm, and second pitch he sees, he just breaks it up the middle. He's loose. He's in a groove, just like Moose.
One on, one out to Adam Jones. Jones was 1 for 4 with a first inning single. And Medlin misses downstairs. 1 ball and no strikes. You played for the Orioles. Did you get to wear those classic orange tops? I love that look.
You know, I might have, but it was a very brief career for me. I think I might have had maybe 1 at bat, 2 at bats, but I was in the organization for a couple of seasons. And very special.
Old school. I like it.
Yeah, they're cool looking.
The Orioles and the Giants both had the orange jerseys at a time. The thing that I used to love about the Giants, and I don't know if the Orioles had it too, but remember their sanitary socks were orange under the black stirrups.
The colors it up, man. It looks nice.
On the ground to Escobar, who bobbles, hoping to get 1 out now, and thanks to Eric Hosmer, he does. So Escobar stares up into the sky for an answer as to why he didn't turn that into a double play.
And he's only human, but I have seen that on a routine ground ball to him. I haven't seen it. But you know what? He just gets it to Hosmer, and that's what he does, literally. He says, and Moose says the same thing. That Gold Glove over there that we're throwing to, I just throw it. I don't even think. I just throw it, and that's what he did. He just got rid of it, and look what Hos did. Picked it clean.
Just throw it in the area, huh?
That's right. That's how talented Eric Hosmer is.
And now Chris Davis. So Medlin has to pitch very carefully to Davis with 5 home runs. And this is bonus time for the Orioles, with the Royals not turning the double play. So the Orioles essentially get an extra out, and they get Davis to the plate with a runner at second base. And Machado takes off for third. Salvi's throw is in time. Thank you, Manny Machado. And Davis will lead off the next inning. Wow.
What a pick by Moustakas on the dead run. Got him by a mile and a knee sandwich.
Royals' top 4 hitters in the last 2 games against Detroit and Baltimore have been setting the tone, to say the least. They are getting on base, they are scoring runs, they are driving in runs. And Ned Yost, for 5 straight games now, has gone with the same lineup. Escobar, Moustakas, Kane, Hosmer, Morales, Gordon, Perez, Infante, and Dyson, as the Royals will, for the first time, face right-hander Tyler Wilson.
Yeah, interesting. Tyler Wilson came up to Buck Showalter. Our Showalter called him into the office a couple days ago and said, "Hey, young man, you're my starter on Saturday." And he went, "Well, thank you for the opportunity, sir." Turned around, walked out. This guy's a worker. He prepares. Oh, look at this arm.
Manny Machado was maybe the most motivated Orioles defender after running into an out with Chris Davis at the plate in the top of the first inning.
Yep, that's a cardinal sin in baseball. Don't make the last out at third base, especially with a power hitter. But man, this is beautiful. Look at that one knee. He whips it over across the diamond with a lot of velocity. This guy's not a Gold Glover. He's a Platinum Glove winner. Beautiful play.
So the first batter swings at the first pitch, and the second batter does not swing at the second pitch. Last night, the Royals against Giovanni Gallardo, Escobar swung at the first pitch, singled. Moustakas swung at the second pitch, homered. Kane swung at the third pitch, singled.
Rarely has Escobar seen a curveball first pitch, and let alone him hitting it well enough to be a double if it wasn't for an outstanding play there. So nice job by Escobar just getting a piece of it. Tyler Wilson, 88 to 91, the velocity he'll use. He's a guy who's got to locate. Curveball, down, changeup. That's a curveball. He likes to keep that ball down. Most pitchers do, because if you don't, it gets whacked. He's a winner, very athletic. Coming into camp this year, he was rated their 19th best prospect. So he's not one of their top guys, but because he's such a battler and he competes so well, and he earns a spot here.
He is a 10th round pick for the Orioles out of the University of Virginia 5 years ago. Changeup down and away, 3 balls, 2 strikes. He was their minor league pitcher of the year 2 years ago. And all of his minor league appearances were as a starter. So he's just getting used to being a reliever before his start tonight. Slice foul, still 3-2 on Moustakas. So Mike Moustakas is leading the Royals with 6 home runs. This is what he's done in April in his career. Just 3 years ago, he had 1 home run in April. And then 4, and then 3. And then after hitting 22 home runs last year, a career high, he has 6 in April. Grounded right to Machado, who was the only fielder on the left side. 2 down. And now the Orioles defensively, they have Kim in left field, making just his 3rd major league start. Jones in center. Rickard shifts over to right. Machado, Hardy, Scope, and Davis on the infield, and Matt Wieters back behind the plate and back into the lineup tonight. Two down to Lorenzo Cain. Inside for ball 1. Cain was 1 for 4 with that first inning single, and he scored on a Kendrys Morales double. Is that a cutter or just some natural cut to his fastball?
No, he has a cutter that he uses, and slider. It's hard to tell, but you see he's up on the side of the ball with his fingers split apart, index and middle fingers. But regardless, he's going to stay away from righties. He's got some got a little bit of deception in that delivery. He kind of has a little leg kick there. He hides the ball well. Short arm action. And he's not afraid to pitch to contact. So that's a good trait to have. This guy is a competitor. It means he's not afraid to get in somebody's kitchen like Lorenzo Cain right there. Lowe just fought that off. He didn't want that. But for the most part, stays away from righties. Now he likes to cut the ball in on the left-handed hitters, and he will elevate when he's ahead in the count like this one. If he's 1-2, he's going to try to get a high strikeout at times, and then other times he'll drop the curve. Ooh, nice spot.
Good spot, man.
That's right where you want to be. Hesitated a little because he thought he'd get the call there. That's right where you train those pitchers to put that ball in the big leagues. Any league for that matter.
Hit well to Hardy at short. Well, Tyler Wilson gets 3 ground balls from Escobar, Moustakas, and Cain. Top of the second inning instead of batting with a runner at second in the bottom of the first.
Thanks to Machado, No batter on the right side. Free lane for Salvi to throw. Drops to a knee. Just fires it. Moose isn't there yet. He's playing back. Look at the soft hands by Moustakas. Catches it on the pick and keeps the ball in his glove after that hard slide. And while he was in the slide, got a knee sandwich. He's lucky he didn't get a concussion on that. Oh.
Very high, very deep, and the wind is blowing out that way, so who knows if that would have happened in the top of the first inning. But Chris Davis goes deep, and the Orioles take a 1-0 lead, and that is the 6th home run for Chris Davis this year.
Everybody knows, or should know, this guy's a great low ball hitter. I mean, but pitchers are going to make mistakes. Watch Salvi. He wants it up. He wants it up and in, and it ends up down right in his wheelhouse. That's where he just makes a great living. Inside out. There's not any ballpark, you know, left field foul pole, right field foul pole. He'll hit it anywhere. He's got that kind of power.
Now back with a strike to Trumbo. That's 165 home runs for Chris Davis since 2012. That's the most in the major leagues during that time.
Man, he knows how to do it. And you know, when he swings, it looks so easy. Chris Davis, I love watching his homers when he's not against the Royals. It's just so smooth and great talent.
1-2 on Trumbo, who was 1 for 4 last night with a run scored and 2 strikeouts. Royals pitching struck out 12 Orioles last night. Chris Young had 10, and then Hochevar and Herrera each had 1.
It's a byproduct of having home run hitters. They're going to swing and miss.
There's Medlin's first. 1 down in the 2nd inning. New this season, the remodeled Rivals Sports Bar now offers front row seating. Each game ticket includes a bar rail in front of each seat and $20 in loaded value with in-seat service. For more information on pricing or to reserve your seats today, go to Royals.com/tickets or 1-800-6-ROYALS. Fastball by Matt Wieters, who was not in the lineup last night. Caleb Joseph was the Orioles catcher. Wieters is a switch hitter. Out in front, and the wind pushes it out toward deep center field. Kane was looking up into the waning sunlight and makes the play. 2 down. Chris Davis signed a long and lucrative contract to stay with the Orioles this past season. He signed through 2022.
Good for him, especially where he started. He was a player that the Rangers had, and they go, well, he's just not consistent enough. He doesn't make enough consistent contact, and therefore we're not going to even play him every day, and maybe we can trade him. So no, he came alive. Of course, he hits in that ballpark there in Camden Yards. It's a home run hitter's park, but you still got to make contact. You still got to be able to get the ball in the air. He does a good job of that.
1-0 on J.J. Hardy. 2 balls and no strikes. Hardy had 2 hits last night and an RBI.
Hardy was staying up the middle with his hits last night.
3-0. And Medlin walks him on 4 straight pitches. Medlin, in his last 2 starts, his only 2 starts this year, has walked 4 in each of those 2 starts. Now those walks really haven't come back to hurt him. Only 2 of them turned into runs. And the Royals as a pitching staff have walked more than they normally do. They have the 2nd most in the American League, and a very low percentage of those are turning into runs, so they haven't been hurt that badly by the walk. But it is noteworthy as Scope takes high, ball 1.
Yeah, and something that Dave Eiland and any pitching coach doesn't like. You know, you don't want to give free passes. That gets you in trouble. But Dave can only do what he can do, and that's work on their mechanics and their delicate mental muscles at times.
Change up makes it 1-1 on Scope.
Medlin very quick, has a nice tempo. A lot of the moves, the fielders all behind him love him because he just gets the ball and throws it. And him being a former shortstop, he knows it's, he don't want to sit out there and daydream. He wants to keep those fielders behind him.
1-2 on Scope. And it always seems that the pitchers that work quickly and throw strikes get the best defense. And the pitchers year after year who allow the most unearned runs, and they can say, man, I got bad luck, I always make errors when I'm on the mound. Well, sometimes those are the guys who work slowly and don't throw a lot of strikes.
Yeah, and by the way, he's a really good athlete, Medlin. Fields his position well. You saw that move over there. I mean, he's cat quick. It's good footwork.
Hardy has a very short lead at first, and Scope takes high, 2-2. Late swing and a foul ball behind first base coach Wayne Kirby. Medlin's out pitch is typically his changeup. He has a very good one, but his fastball has been very effective. It's a small sample size, but opponents hitting just 182 against his fastball. Breaking ball smashed to left field. Scope singles to left. Hardy stops at second.
He's got good movement on his fastball. 4 and 2-seamer runs. It has a little bit of sinking running action into righties and away. Now this curveball was a hanger. It's right in the middle. Stayed up there. Good swing by Scope.
Two on, two out to the number 9 hitter, Hyun-Soo Kim, in his first big league season, coming over from the KBO, the Korean baseball organization. He gets jammed and drops it into center field. Hardy scores. The Orioles have 2 in the second inning. And that's the first major league RBI for Hyun-Soo Kim.
Hyun-Soo says, I'm going to go ahead and just swing first pitch. I'm looking fastball. But he adjusted. He saw it coming in on his hands, and he stayed inside of the ball. Didn't try to pull it. Congratulations on your first big league ribby.
So really 2 innings in this top of the second. Chris Davis homered leading off the inning, and then Medlin got the next 2 outs. So 2 outs and nobody on. And the 4-pitch walk to Hardy has turned into a run as Scope and Kim followed with base hits. Joey Rickard opened the game with a ground ball to short. So now of Medlin's 9 walks so far this year, 3 have turned into runs. Nine pitches against Rickard, Machado, and Jones in the first inning, and now pitch number 21 of this inning, and it's 2-1 on Rickard.
First pitch of the inning to Chris Davis, the slugger. Left the yard, left center field, and then so sometimes, I mean, Medlin's a veteran guy. He's not going to get his dauber down, but that messed up his inning.
Breaking ball, 2-2.
And we talk about how things are contagious. We watch the Royals all the time with their frenzy hitting, how 1 base hit turns into 4 or 5. That's what the Orioles are doing right here.
Perez sets up inside, and Rickard hits a fly ball to center field. Kane brings it down with one hand, and that's the inning. A home run, a walk, 2 base hits, and the Orioles get 2 in the second inning. Catch with Chris Medlin, who gives up a couple of runs in the top of the second inning. And now the Royals go back to work on offense against Tyler Wilson, who got 3 ground ball outs from Escobar, Moustakas, and Kane. So now he gets Hosmer, Morales, and Gordon.
And not a Royal in the lineup ever faced this young man, Tyler Wilson, before. So whenever that happens, you try to take as many pitches as you can. Especially first time through, you want to kind of see what he's got. But then there's other times I knew guys that said, you know what, I see a fastball, I'm on it. Like that one right down the middle. Haas says, oh man, I'll take some more of those tonight. Hello, young man. Curveball, didn't want it.
Chop to Davis. He'll go to the bag unassisted. 4 ground ball outs for Tyler Wilson. University of Kansas Hospital injury report. We found out after the game last night that one of the reasons, aside from getting knocked around Kauffman Stadium last night, one of the reasons why Yovani Gallardo came out after 2 innings is because his right shoulder was bothering him, so they placed him on the disabled list. He signed a 2-year contract with the Orioles this offseason. That was originally a 3-year contract. Those were the terms pending a physical, and then during the physical something came up that concerned the Orioles, so they went back to Gallardo and his representatives, and it became a 2-year deal plus an option. And then last night we saw that his velocity was down. The Royals were all over him, and now he's on the disabled list.
Not good.
Kendrys was 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI last night. Another ground ball to right field, and Scope will throw him out. That's the second baseman out in shallow right field. 2 down.
Well, going back to last night, remember how we watched T.J. McFarland jump up, throw quickly, and get ready? That's probably when he got the report that Yovani Gallardo was hurt. He was hurt. So T.J. McFarland has become Buck Showalter's best friend. Because what he did last night, coming in and saving their bullpen and holding the Royals down, was a tremendous job. He scored big points with his field manager. Had a chance to talk to Buck today, and he raved about the kid.
Alex doesn't look at a pitch. He jumps on the first one, and that drops in front of Kim. The Royals have their first base runner, and Alex has his first hit of the series.
Kim was playing Alex Gordon way deep and towards center field. He had no chance, and if you watch him right here, he looks a little nervous. This young man is an unproven Major League Baseball player. And he's an average fielder at best, has an average arm, and he can hit a little bit, and did not perform very well in spring training, but he made the team. Oh man.
Salvador Perez.
Whoa.
Ties the game. Man, what a homestand he's had. Well, Hud, the first 5 hitters wanted to see a pitch. The last 2 had seen enough.
That's exactly right. Because the word got back from Hosmer saying that fastball is straight as a string. I agree, young man. Salvi for president. 3rd home run on the homestand. Stay hot. That ball was no doubt about it. It wasn't coming back. Salvi watched him in batting practice. He put on a clinic hitting that ball right in that same spot, so he's able to recognize that spot and got it. 8 RBIs on the homestand to go along with those 3 home runs. Whoa, man, is he heating up and liking that home cooking here at the K. Of course, you know, when he ran on the field to warm up Medlin, you know, several minutes before the opening of this game, the crowd came unglued when just running out to the bullpen. Salvador Perez is a star.
0-2 on Infante. Omar was a tough luck 0 for 3 last night with 2 hard hit outs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There are the 2 guys right there with 2 outs and nobody on. Alex Gordon swung at the first pitch he saw from Wilson and singled. Salvi swung at the first pitch and homered. And now Infante jolts it to left field. Kim goes back, makes the play, and bumps into the wall.
I guess he was in the right spot. I thought he might have been a little deep for Infante, but Kim knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he makes the catch. Little slider, or a little spinner, looked like a little cutter. Salvi got it.
Watching Royals baseball literally and figuratively in that the opponent scores and then the Royals score. Baltimore got 2 in the top of the 2nd inning. And the Royals come back with 2 in the bottom of the second on Salvador Perez, 2-run shot, scoring Alex Gordon. Medlin faced 3 and threw only 9 pitches in the first inning. And then the Orioles sent 7 to the plate and scored 2 in the second. It'll be Manny Machado, Adam Jones, and Chris Davis in the top of the third. Machado singled in the first, extending his hitting streak to 16 games, which is the longest current streak in the major leagues. Backhanded by Moustakas. Hosmer stretches into foul territory, and a good start to the third inning for Medlin. Well, while Major League Baseball's global reach seems to be greater than ever, for now, Cuba remains one country that's outside its reach. Watch our special documentary, Cuba, Baseball's Final Frontier. It's Monday night at 8 p.m. here on Fox Sports Kansas City. Preview of that in last night's pregame show. Pedro Grifol and Kendrys Morales joined us in our 1-hour pregame yesterday. Pedro's parents defected from Cuba back in the 1950s, so Pedro is born and raised here. Kendrys Morales tried to defect 12 times until he was finally successful getting to the Dominican Republic.
Man, that's quite an adventure and quite a story, but I really enjoyed your work. You did a great job interviewing him. Steve Physiok with Bob Kendrick at the Negro League Museum. That was fabulous stuff, guys. And you know, Brian Shapiro, good job in producing all that and putting that together. A lot of work went into it, but how educational it is for us to learn more about that great island and all those great people and players.
Adam Jones grounded to short in the first inning. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Got to make him earn it now, especially with the meat coming up. They got some big meat. No free passes. Keep it down. Use that defense behind you.
Going to try and tie him up inside, and Medlin missed down and away. So that's his 2nd walk and his 10th walk in under 14 innings. And he puts a man on for Chris Davis, who homered to left field leading off the 2nd inning. Homered on the first pitch. Medlin threw to him, his 6th of the year. Off speed and low. With that home run, Chris Davis is tied with his teammate Manny Machado with Mike Moustakas and Robinson Cano of Seattle for 2nd in the league in home runs. Josh Donaldson homered for Toronto and hit his 7th. That leads the American League. Tried to tie him up. 2-0. Hud, you're talking about his days with the Rangers. He's a Texas native, so there was that additional pressure being drafted by the Rangers. He was a Rangers fan as a kid, so it's enough just dealing with what comes with being a major leaguer, but then you're kind of a hometown kid, and the Rangers organization has a lot of hopes hanging on your shoulders, and it just did not work out for Davis and the Rangers.
Yeah, you know, I don't have any idea what that pressure's like, but like you said, there's pressure enough just stepping in a big league batter's box, but let alone in front of all your friends, and hometown, and all the pressures sometimes players put on themselves. He was able to get away from there and found himself in a big way. 3-0, heads up, he could be hacking, especially if it's down the middle.
Ooh. Up the middle, off the bag, And that'll give Jones another 90 feet. So a tough break for the Royals in two ways. First of all, you get a ground ball from Davis on 3-0. And then by hitting second base, Jones is able to go first to third.
And Davis wanted to take second base. Now he's watching this ball as he's heading down the line, and that slowed it down. He took a big turn over there, and it's a good thing he didn't go, because Dyson made a nice play on the recovery there. See if Medlin can induce that ground ball double play here. Keep this score tied.
Mark Trumbo at the plate, and he's grounded into 3 this year. Medlin struck him out in the second inning. Ground ball, but he gets it into center field. So the Orioles quickly regain the lead, and again it's a walk that turns into a run as Jones scores on the base hit from Trumbo, and Baltimore leads 3-2.
Having some command issues is Medlin. Just way too much of the plate. See Salvi sitting on the inner half. That ball ended up splitting the dish in two, and hitters don't miss those. Power hitters turn those into round trippers. So a lousy single there was really a bonus. Pitch was up belt high to a very strong guy.
And now the shift with Escobar behind second base. So another ground ball like the one from Davis or the one from Trumbo, and the Royals have an excellent chance for a double play, but the Royals were in a traditional setup for both Davis and Trumbo. Wieters flied to center in the second inning. Oh, and 2. Like Trumbo, Wieters has grounded into 3 double plays this year.
Chris Medlin now looking for that pitch that's going to work for him. He's got 4 good pitches, really 3. Fastball, curveball, changeup. He'll cut the ball a little bit, but he's got to figure out which one's going to work for him tonight and stay with that pitch.
Shallow center. Escobar goes out. They call the infield fly rule. And there are 2 down.
It's a good pitch there. He jammed him. Four seams. Up and in. Looks good to the hitter, but no meat of the bat there.
And now J.J. Hardy with 2 on 2 out.
I mean, you don't see many hitters hold their hands where J.J. Hardy does. You believe that? I mean, if they're below his belt, around his thighs. And that's very unusual. Now he'll get to hitting position, and they all do, but it's the start. See, he's got some rhythm and movement going, but watch those hands. They get down below. Look at that. It's like he's fly fishing.
Jammed him. Alex is at the line, and right before he hits the wall, he retires J.J. Hardy. So the Orioles get a 1-out walk. They turn that into a run, and Baltimore leads 3-2. Baseball is brought to you by Chevy. Visit your local Kansas City area Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. Orioles got 2 in the second. The Royals got 2 in the second. And now Baltimore has added a run in the top of the third. Royals come back with Gerard Dyson, Alcides Escobar, and Mike Moustakas against Tyler Wilson. Wilson retired the first 5. And then Gordon singled, Perez homered, and then Infante lined out to deep left. 1-1 to Dyson. Let's go to Joe Goldberg.
Well, Ryan had a chance to catch up with Gerard today, and he said that when he hurt himself on that first swing of Cactus League play, he really was down on himself, and that first week was miserable, he said, because you're sitting there, you can't do anything, and he says, I'm thinking, I finally have a chance to be a starter. I want to do something, and felt like, you know, he's had chances in the past, and every time he's gotten hurt or something has happened, and so he's thrilled to be back. Talking to Rusty Kuntz, Rusty Kuntz says Gerard Dyson is the straw that stirs the drink. He brings the energy. He keeps guys on their toes. He's the one that throws out the cliches. He's given everybody a hard time talking smack. He said he's like a leader, the opposite of Alex Gordon. Alex Gordon, the leader by example. Dyson, the vocal leader. And Dyson saying now, I just want to have a good time and make the most of this opportunity.
Peters throws him out. As Joel was talking about past opportunities, Hud, I remember in May of 2013, Jeff Francoeur was struggling. Dyson got a chance to play, and we were in Anaheim, and Mike Trout hit a home run to center field. No chance for a play. I remember he climbed the wall and sprained his ankle and put him out for a long time, and he was playing every day and playing well at that time.
Yeah, you know, that's very unfortunate for a player, especially when you work hard. You're in that backup role, and you always want an everyday role. That's the goal of every player that ever plays the game. They want to be an everyday guy. But when that happens, you just have to let it go. Don't dwell on it. Don't think, oh, my luck's bad or anything like that. What I like to remember and what he wants to remember is what he did when Alex Gordon went down last season. He went out there that next night and made a catch I've never seen him make before. We've seen a lot of great plays, there's no question, over the last five or 6 years. But he stepped in admirably for Alex Gordon, and he did the job, him and Paulo Orlando. That's what he wants to dwell on. Positive vibes is what you use. And, you know, it's tough. He's had a few tough breaks, but now he's got a chance. And if he wants to stay in the lineup, he's going to want to continue to get on base and spray the ball around, like Paulo has done in his limited opportunities so far. You have to stay productive, and especially in a platoon situation like that, because if you get cold, he's going to go to the hot hand.
No swing. Corey Blazer is the first base umpire. 2-2 on Escobar. He lost an extra base hit on a nice play by Machado in the first inning. He's our most trusted player, brought to you by Honda. Batting at .321 in his last 7 games. Scoring 5 runs, driving in 4. That time he did go around. And Tyler Wilson has his first strikeout tonight.
It's a good changeup there. That had a lot of life to it. Ball really moved in, up and in on him. On Escobar, start out over the middle, and by the time Esky told himself not to swing, it's too late. That's what movement does. Wow. She's a dog.
And is looking right into the camera. More interested in the camera than she is in the game. Moustakas grounds out to Scope. He is 0 for 2. Wilson has another 1-2-3 inning. Sellout crowd on a beautiful Saturday night in Kansas City. 3-2 Orioles to the 4th inning. Now available at the Majestic Team Store as a DVD Blu-ray combo pack, Royalty Reigns. It's a comprehensive look at the 2015 World Champion Royals. From the story of how the club was assembled by Dayton Moore and Royals ownership to key moments during the regular and postseason. Royalty Reigns recalls everything that made the 2015 Royals club worth remembering. Jonathan Scope will lead off the 4th inning for Baltimore. Fastball a little bit high. Scope singled in the 2nd inning. The Orioles have 3 runs, 6 hits, and Medlin has walked 2 in the first 3 innings. That's 8 base runners. Back with a changeup, and it's 1-1.
Medlin trying to establish which pitch is going to work for him. Looks like his changeup's been good in the last inning and a half. His fastball, tough with the command. He's been missing out over the middle. They've hit him a little bit, but he's keeping his team in the game.
Base hit, and that pitch was up. Scope jumped on a hanging breaking ball when he singled to left in the 4th inning, and that pitch was up. And that's 7 hits for the Orioles in 3+ innings. Here's Fox Tracks from the Missouri Lottery.
It looked like there was a little changeup that was definitely not placed where he wants it. Medlin's shoulder coming out a little bit, flying open towards the first base line, leaving that arm behind. And the pitch is up, and it's hittable.
Hyun-Soo Kim is 4 for 7. He drove in his first big league run in the 2nd inning with a bloop single to center. And now he pulls it foul outside of first base. This is his first year in the big leagues. He played 10 years in the KBO, Korean Baseball Organization, and hit 142 home runs. So not a big power hitter. That's just an average of 14 home runs per year and 70 or so RBIs per year. So he's not quite Jung-Ho Kang with the Pirates, or what Byung-Ho Park with Minnesota, what he did when he was in Korea.
Not eye-popping statistics, so you wonder, what was the urgency of signing him? And he didn't perform well at all in spring training.
Hit 178.
Yeah, didn't win a job.
They wanted to send him down. The Orioles wanted to send him down to the minor leagues just for a few more at-bats and to tweak his swing, and he had a clause in his contract where he could refuse being sent down to the minor leagues, and that's how the Rule 5 Joey Rickard found himself as an everyday player.
Well, only time will tell. That's a beautiful pitch. Great spot. That's where he wants to get that slider working right there. It's a breaking ball. It's a curveball. Yep, you got to go.
Now, I might be reading more into that reaction than what really happened, but that, to me, looked like a player coming from another country who maybe would have argued a little bit longer had he been in Korea, but realized, I'm a big leaguer now. Don't get a bad reputation, you know, because he looked like he just wanted to scream and then just stopped himself.
Might be right. Go by the law of the land.
Rickard has grounded to short and flied to center. He is 0 for 6 in this series. Last night was the first game that Rickard has not reached safely at least once. Grounded to Escobar. To Infante. Hosmer. Safe. And that's one of the tools that impressed the Orioles in taking Rickard in the Rule 5 draft, his speed. Don Wakamatsu got word from Bill Duplessis that Rickard was safe, so Ned Yost will not challenge.
He runs well, and he just beat it. Infante was on his heels, and he gave it that throw, so there wasn't a lot on the throw. But still, give Rickard some credit for busting it out of the box and keeping his team alive. 2 outs here.
So that gives Machado a chance to come to the plate. Manny Machado singled to center in the first inning, giving him a major league best 16-game hitting streak. And then later, after the Royals had a chance to turn a double play and they didn't, Machado with 2 down and standing at second base, and Chris Davis at the plate tried to steal third. Salvador Perez gunned him down to end the inning.
And what was impressive about that is that, you know, Moustakas was playing way back, and you know, when you're a runner and you see how far the third baseman's off and you're at second base, lots of times you're telling yourself, I can beat him to the bag even. And so that's probably what Machado thought he could do, and that's why he went. He thought he could do it. But Moose, he crept in, he's quick on his feet, and he's able to get to the bag. Salvi just threw it. So credit Salvi for not waiting, because Moose wasn't near the bag. Salvi and Moustakas, Hosmer, they've been working together for years. Watch him. There he goes. Moose took off. He just threw it. And it's a perfect throw. It's right on the baseline. I mean, right in front of the bag. A short hop. And Moose is able to pick it, hold it with soft hands. Look at that. He's able to hold it and keep it in his glove. If he drops it, he's safe. And talking to one of the longest tenured scouts in baseball today before the game, told me that Mike Moustakas is the most improved Major League Baseball player he's seen in a long time. Both sides of the ball, he said, not just offensively, but Moustakas at third base, he said he's unbelievable. His range, he's getting the balls, his throws.
Check swing, 2-0 on Machado.
I mean, these guys, they're focused. And you know, Mike Bordick is the Orioles color commentator, and was a really fine shortstop, great hands in his days. And ooh, man, right at him. Ooh,
over Alex Gordon. Rickard can run. He'll be waved home, and the throw is over Escobar. It would have been a tough play anyway. So the Royals do not turn a double play. The Orioles get an extra out, and they turn it into a run, and they have their second 2-run lead of the game. And for Manny Machado, that's 7 straight games with at least 1 extra base hit.
On contact, looked like Alex had him played just right, as Alex actually started in a half a step on contact, thinking that ball had topspin on it, and then, you know, they're very difficult to read. A line shot right over your head like that. So even a platinum glove winner like Alex gonna have a hard time with that.
That'll make Machado feel a little better about being caught at third in the first inning. So the Orioles have had 10 base runners in 3 2/3 innings tonight. And now Adam Jones with Machado at second base. With 1 out last inning, Jones walked, and he scored on a base hit from Trumbo. He is also grounded out to short. Changeup is outside, 2-0. Dylan G begins to throw in the Royals bullpen.
Bedlam just having some inconsistent command issues. And it happens.
Dyson crosses the line to the side wall. Did he get it? He did not. Boy, did he make it close.
Ball looked like the wind caught it up at top and pushed it back a little bit. Gerard tried to time the leap using his, he just missed a great effort there as he used his left foot way up on the wall there. Great effort. Again, Medlin missing up in the zone. Adam Jones is telling himself, man, I missed that one.
And Jones at the moment is hitting .205. So he's not all-star Adam Jones at the moment. Maybe later in the season he does more with that pitch. No swing. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Got a chance to go into the Oriole locker room before the game. Saw Adam sitting there. I said, hey Adam. And I looked, and right next to his locker he had a case of baseball bats, like a traveling case, like maybe a gun case. There was 10 bats in it in the top section and 10 in the bottom section, all laying in this case that obviously is his own personal bat case. You know, most bats all travel together in the bat bag, but he had his own case. I've never seen that before. And a lot of them were new, and most of them were. Talked to me about the grain and everything like that. Very interesting how he takes his own bats with him.
Ichiro Suzuki was like that. So Dave Island goes out to chat with Chris Medlin. It has not been Medlin's best night, and the Royals had a chance to turn a double play earlier in this inning. Dylan G continues to warm up. We remind you that the Royals would like to see you on the road. How about traveling to Philadelphia, Boston, or New York City this summer? Royals destination fan packages are available now and include great game tickets, hotel accommodations, VIP ballpark tours, and a meet and greet reception with a Royals player. Royals.com/destinations for more information. Broken bat, and that's up the right field line and down. Machado scores. The throw goes to second. Davis is hung up. And now Davis, with nobody covering his second base, advances anyway.
Give credit to Davis. That was an excellent job of forcing that run down with 2 outs. You got a guy like Jones at third who's got good speed, and he's able to stay in the rundown long enough. Escobar didn't close Davis close enough to Haas. He could have chased him back to Haas a little bit closer, but didn't work, and the inning stays alive.
Chevy called to the bullpen. It's Dylan G. The Orioles have 5 runs in 3 2/3.
Man.
Dylan G comes on with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. He is appearing for the 3rd time this year, and he's pitching for the first time in a week. He was away from the Royals for a few days, and this is his baby daughter Charlotte. So Charlotte with her older brother Hudson and mom Carrie Ann are back in Fort Worth, Texas at the moment. So the proud papa 2 times over takes the mound and inherits runners at second and third, and 2 down and 2 in for the Orioles. And Mark Trumbo, who's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Little pop up into shallow right, and that's going to drop, and it's going to score 2 more, and Baltimore leads 7-2. A 4-run 4th inning. The Orioles had a 1-run lead going into this inning. The Royals did not turn a double play, and the Orioles have made the most of it.
Yep, amazing how the worm turns. Those little hits right here they're getting, you know, the hitters will take them. Haas had to go a long way. That's right on the chalk. So the ball is bouncing for the Birds right now.
Fouled away by Matt Wieters. He is 0 for 2 with a runner at first and 1 out in this inning. Joey Rickard hit a sharp ground ball to Alcides Escobar, and it had double play written all over it. Rickard, to his credit, ran hard up the line, and maybe because this is not a well-known major league player, the Royals may have turned the double play, not aware of his speed.
Well, it has to be a little more sense of urgency for Infante. Wasn't his best term. He didn't really get enough on the throw to get him.
One and 2 on Wieters. He has flied to center and popped to short. And I'm sure that Chris Medlin is not in the Royals dugout right now pointing fingers at anybody. And yet, at this level against an offense like this, when you get a chance for a double play, you better turn that double play. So G gives up a bloop single and then strikes out Wieters. The Orioles bat 8 and they score 4. The Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game, Nikki and Phil Jacobs. And after their daughter Raylan was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, Nikki and Phil started Autism Hope for Families. The support group and nonprofit organization helps families, children, and schools with the cost of therapies, equipment, and medical bills due to autism. Hoping the Royals can put together a big comeback tonight. Down by 5 as they come up in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Yeah, that's great what Nicky and Phil are doing. Raising awareness for autism.
Kane, Hosmer, and Morales against Tyler Wilson. And Wilson has really only made one bad pitch. It's his first big league start of this year. He retired the first 5 Royals, and Alex Gordon blooped a single to left. Salvador Perez hit a 2-run home run, and that tied the game at 2. And now Wilson is back, retiring the last 4. He got Lorenzo on a ground out to short in the 1st inning.
He feels great about those 7 runs he's got. He can go out and just continue to execute. Talked about this guy's mentality. He's very tough. He's a competitor. The kid expects to be here. He feels like he belongs, and that's the confidence you need. He's going with this opportunity that Showalter gave him, and he wants to get another start. That's what you do. But when you execute pitches like that down out of the zone, just off the plate, he's on his game. But one of the things I really like about this kid, Ryan, in the offseason after his workouts, he's a substitute teacher for special needs kids.
Hosmer with 1 out, and that pitch is low. Eric grounded to first in the 2nd inning. He has seen Manny Machado extend his hitting streak. Eric has an impressive hitting streak, and that's up the left field line and down into the corner. Eric Hosmer has a double and a 13-game hitting streak.
Another beautiful swing by Eric Hosmer, using the opposite field. Look at the back leg. Loved how he had to go down for that good pitch again by Wilson. It was down, but Haas, check a look at this back leg. Watch, look how it bends down like that. Got a nice little bend. He's able to go down with it. His head position's good. Whenever you see Moose or Haas or Alex from the left side going to the opposite field, you'll notice, especially when they hit it good, their head is facing that direction they're hitting it.
Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. The longest active hitting streaks in the major leagues belong to 2 guys here tonight. Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer both extended those streaks, and that's up the right field line and foul. Kendrys Morales came a few feet away from driving in Eric Hosmer. Instead, no balls and 1 strike. Kendrys rolled out to second base in the 2nd inning. One and one. Sellout crowd. Beautiful night. And I'll bet many Royals fans watching here at Kauffman Stadium and on TV have said, we've seen a comeback before like this.
Oh, they have several of them.
2 and 1 on Morales.
One thing that's certain, there is no panic out of any of the hitters 1 through 9 in that Royals lineup.
Center field, well hit. The wind is blowing out that way, and Jones makes the play up against the wall. Last night, I don't know if that ball goes that far, but with the wind, Morales almost got it off the wall or over the wall.
Well, there's just so much room here. That ball was way out at Camden Yards, but at the K, he just got up underneath it a little bit, got too much air, but Jones measures it. Pulls it down. Haas was heading towards third, backtracked and went back to tag up to get to third with 2 outs for Alex Gordon.
Slider is inside. Alex singled to left in the second inning and then scored on a home run by Salvador Perez. Crack bat, inning over. Hosmer extends his hitting streak. He is stranded at third, and at the end of 4, the Royals are down 7-2.
Those youngsters here every night's a carnival at Kauffman Stadium. We just saw Adam Jones in the last inning make a spectacular catch. Our premier Mazda game break goes back to last night where Yasiel Puig against Colorado did not make the catch. Maybe he did something better. Trevor Story for sure is going to get to third base. I mean, there's no problem except for that. What a bullet from right field. Yasiel Puig with one of the great throws that we will see all year long. We've seen a few like that before. A couple of them, right, Ryan? You remember?
Well, we've seen one in person and we've seen a replay 100 times. Alex Gordon, I don't know if I've seen him heave one that far before, but Alex, since 2012, has the most outfield assists in the major leagues. J.J. Hardy leads off against Dylan G. Now, the one I say that we've seen 100 times before would refer to Bo Jackson and his famous throw from the warning track at the Kingdome in Seattle to Bob Boone and gunning down Harold Reynolds. 1-1 on Hardy. He has walked and fouled out to left. He has scored a run. The Orioles have scored in 3 straight innings. Moustakas dives to his feet. Throws. Got him. Speaking of defense and speaking of strong arms, Mike Moustakas guns down J.J. Hardy after the dive.
If Moustakas can get to it and glove it, he has quick feet to get up, and he's got that powerful right arm right over the top. I mean, that was a straight dart. Great play. Hats off to Moose. Talked about it earlier in the game. Moose not only getting it done with the bat, but his defense is the best it's ever been. He plays like that all year. He could win a Gold Glove.
Or an MVP.
How about it?
I mean, if he's going to hit and play like that, and the Royals end up back in the playoffs. Salvi took that foul ball right in the midsection. Maybe it got him in the shoulder.
Yep, right arm.
And if you're going to fall back into a home plate umpire, it may as well be Laz Diaz.
Well, those two guys, they know well what it's like to take a foul tip with a ball being thrown 90 plus.
Scope is 2 for 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Twice he jumped on a hanging off-speed pitch from Chris Medlin and singled to left both times. Two balls and 2 strikes.
Dylan G, he's got 88 to 92 mile-an-hour four-seam fastball. He likes to sink it. It runs a little bit. He's got a nice slider that he throws away from hitters. He's got good command when he's locating that pitch. Curveball, there's a guy in there on him, jammed him.
Escobar throws on the run and gets Scope, and they're 2 down. Tomorrow, NASCAR heads to Richmond with the Toyota Owners 400 as Kurt Busch looks to defend his title from last year at 11:30 a.m. on Fox. Or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Thought you might be in that race.
Hey, look, I would love to, but I got one of the best opportunities I've had in a long time to go out there to the Kansas Speedway and get in one of those Winston Cup cars. And there was 10 of us. Mike Swanson invited me out. We went out there. Thankfully, it didn't rain or it would have washed us away. Got in that baby. To feel 600 horsepower in you, man, it was great underneath you. It was great. I mean,
how fast did you go?
I did 1:37.5.
Really?
That was second best time. It was a blast. 8 laps. I wanted to do more. I begged the guy, let me go back again. I'll have a better time. I promise you. And Hud, no, you got to go.
The Royals trail by 5 as they come up in the bottom of the 5th inning. It was a 2-2 tie back in the bottom of the 2nd after our Ram drive of the game from Salvador Perez, who will lead off the bottom of the 5th.
Right down the middle. Easy swing. Got the back underside. Got some backspin. That ball wasn't coming back. A one hopper into the drink. Royals can get a few runners on and make something happen, get another big hit, and get them a little bit closer back into this game. There's a Nick Kenny giving a little TLC to Salvador Perez. He took a foul tip off that shoulder.
This is game 5 of the homestand, and Salvador Perez has 3 home runs and 8 RBIs against the Tigers and the Orioles. He's ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. This time Wilson's being a little more careful with his breaking balls to Salvi, keeping him down and out of the strike zone. Salvi leads the Royals with 13 driven in. Cutter away, 3-0.
Hey.
3-1. Remember, this is Wilson's first start of the year as a long reliever. He has gone 3 innings, 3 innings, and 2 innings in his relief appearances, making 44 pitches, and this is pitch number 51. Rickard makes a play in right center field. 1 down in the bottom of the 5th. Remember, Royals fans, you can share in the World Series victories. Shop the official fan collection for fine jewelry and collectibles. Make sure to check out these exclusive items online at royals.com/fanrings. So with a season high 4 1/3 innings and a season high 51 pitches, there's a few relievers in the Oriole bullpen who are up and moving around, stretching out, but nobody's warming up. Infante lines it just foul off the left field line.
Good play down there. Fundamentally sound.
And you got to make sure it's foul.
And it's right to him, so he didn't have to go very far. But look at him here. The only thing, he was looking up a little bit, but he had the top hand, his right hand was right on top of that glove in case it hopped out. Good form.
Now I wonder, in defense of the ball boy, because I agree with you, he wasn't watching the ball in his glove, but I wonder if he was looking up at the third base umpire to make sure that that was a ball that he could field.
You're right. I think he was thinking, uh-oh.
That's a fair ball. The ball boy runs out of his area, and Omar Infante will be at second base with 1 out.
All right, the bat boy, he learned a little bit from that last play he made on the routine. And then now here it is. Next pitch, changeup, stayed up in the air, or up in the zone. Hits it off the end of the bat. And the kid, watch him vacate the area.
And you got to take your chair with you.
Yeah, you can't leave the obstacle there. Team leading 6th double for Infante.
He's ready to go again. Look, he's got the glove and position. And I think right before he got his glove ready, he was, checking his surroundings. Where are the outfielders? Kind of like a base runner. He might be a high school baseball player. And he's thinking, okay, where are the outfielders? He is into the game.
I like it.
Dyson pounded one into the ground in front of home plate in the 3rd inning, and the catcher Wieters threw him out. Broken bat. Hardy fields, no play, and we see the effects of the additional netting above the Royals dugout. Dyson's bat, the business end of the bat, went flying. And last year that would have been into the crowd, and we would have been worried about somebody getting hit, but not this year.
Thank you, Royals organization, for extending those nets all the way through the dugout. You're exactly right. Now, there's no play at all Hardy has. So you can give Dyson a hit with the runner in scoring position, even though he didn't knock him in. That makes him 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position. That's something the Royals want to improve on. And they will as the season goes along. They're hitting 220 as a team with runners out there in scoring position. So they'll want to pick that up a little bit. Get a little bit more focus going, shorten up the swings, and just put it in play.
Crowd is back into the game. They see an opportunity for the Royals to cut the deficit. Sellout crowd here tonight on a gorgeous Saturday night. Gorgeous night for April the 23rd. Dyson already out to a threatening lead at first base. Not running. Escobar, ground ball through the right side. That'll make it 7-3. Dyson stops at second. So Infante's double turns into a run. And now the Royals are down by 4.
And that's the formula. Just start pecking away. Little hits here, there, staying away from righties, just like as advertised. And Escobar knew it and went with it. Look at him. Another good head position. Back leg buckles a little bit. That's nice. It gets him down there for good leverage, letting the ball travel. And he found the hole. So back-to-back hits with the runners in scoring position. Worked. Got one of them home. Dave Wallace is back. Gentleman who came out to the mound in last night's game for the Orioles, Ramon Martinez. Special assignment pitching coordinator for the Orioles, filled in for Mr. Wallace while he was away.
Came off the disabled list when Giovanni Gallardo went on the disabled list. So he warms up in a hurry. He's probably getting ready for Hosmer. So Wilson with a season high in pitches by 13. Maybe he's hitting the end of the line, and he's getting into the middle of the Royals order. 2 on, 1 out for Moustakas. Moustakas is 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts. Here's our Sprint trivia question for tonight. Who holds the Royals' single season record for most home runs in April? Moustakas has 6. Changeup is low.
When you're as hot as Moustakas is right now, he can afford to just wait for the pitch that he wants to see. He's in a groove. You can see how they're playing him now, a lot more straight up. Now Hardy, the shortstop, he's over there holding Dyson close. That's the only reason he's not back in regular spot. Doesn't want Dyson to steal the bag. But Moose is going to hit the ball where it's pitched. His eyes will light up if it's a pitch middle in that he can turn on.
Going the other way, right idea, and he hits it back into the crowd.
Again, very little movement by Moose. Hands and head in great positions there, and he knows that swing well. Just a tad late.
So that looks like a very pitch efficient night. If this was a normal starter, you'd say, well, he's in good shape. He's not running out of gas. But remember, this is his first start of the year. Great pitch. And probably a good take. Not much Moustakas could do at that pitch if he tried to put that in play.
He'd like to have it back, though. He'd shoot that ball to left field.
Still alive at 2-2.
Rolled a curve up there on that pitch there. Down and out of the zone. Moose with a nice 2-strike approach. When you hear that term in baseball, 2-strike approach, that means protect. Anything close, foul off until he makes a mistake. Hey, Not a bad choice. Bet you'd like to take Moose to the prom next year. Moose might oblige, but I doubt it.
Well, oh, that goes into our radio booth to our left.
And it falls
Anybody
out.
catch it?
That was an easy catch. Oh man, that was a tailor-made wrap it up catch for Fizz.
Wow. Then he's doing the game. So, and we use the stand microphones over there. So if you go to get it, you lose your microphone. But that was, as Denny would put it, a good trajectory.
Yeah.
3 balls and 2 strikes. If you've heard Denny over the years on radio, we will talk about whether going for a foul ball or not, whether it was a good trajectory or a bad trajectory. If it's still going up when it goes into the booth, leave it alone. If it's on its way down, give it a try.
Moose knows he doesn't have to do it here on this pitch. He's got Lorenzo Cain hitting behind him, so he's going to look for his pitch and hopefully not swing out of it.
Grounds it out to Scope. Out at second. And a double play. So just what the Royals didn't need. Hoping for a bigger inning, but they do get 1 run. Alcides Escobar drives in Omar Infante. It is now 7-3. Dylan G is back to work. This will be his second full inning after coming on in the 4th in relief of Chris Medlin. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the KC metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Top of the order for Baltimore, Joey Rickard is 0 for 3, but his ground ball in the 4th inning right now is the key play in the game. With a runner at first and 1 out, Rickard grounded sharply to Escobar. Escobar went to Infante for the first out, and Infante may not have been fully aware of Rickard's speed, because it would look like a 6-4-3 double play. Infante didn't put his best throw or his strongest throw on display to Eric Hosmer. Rickard beat it out, and the Orioles went on to score 4 runs in that inning.
Well, you know, Infante's defense, the kid Rickard struck out 4 times, his first golden sombrero in the big leagues last night. So he didn't even sniff running. They never saw his speed or anything.
And now Infante isn't able to catch up to it. It's a base hit to right field for Rickard. and his first hit in this series. With 6 home runs from Mike Moustakas in the month of April, who holds the Royals single season record for most home runs in April. Our sprint trivia question. I remember, and I think it was 2000, Jermaine Dye became the first player in Major League history. There it is. He was the first player in Major League history to have at least 10 home runs and 10 doubles before May 1st. Wow. And he ended up with 12 doubles and 11 home runs before May the 1st. So there is your answer. Manny Machado, the hottest hitter in the American League at the moment, has 2 hits tonight, a single, a double, an RBI, and a run scored. He has a 16-game hitting streak. He has a 7-game extra base hit streak.
G going to try to work that sinker down so he can roll up another double play. That'll work too. Any pitches working down like that, you got a chance. Orioles aren't much on steals. They like to hit them. They got 4 bags on the year.
Shallow center. Tough time at night. And that drops. The Royals do have a force at second base. But it's that time of night where the ball really blends in with the sky. And I don't know how well Infante or Kane were able to track that ball. But in the end, it is an 8-6 force out to get Rickard at second base.
Ball goes up. Looked like Infante didn't get a great break. He's looking for some help. It's too far. But Lorenzo Cain alertly and calmly, didn't panic, set his feet and threw a nice easy strike over there to Escobar.
And now Adam Jones with 1 on, 1 out. Jones is 0 for 1, but he has walked twice, and both times those walks turned into runs. Chris Medlin walked 3 in 3 2/3 innings, and all 3 scored. Hardy in the second, Jones in the third, and Jones in the fourth. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 2 on Jones. Who's that ball boy up the left field line, all over it. Found a pretty girl to give away a souvenir. So he is both athletic and smart.
Well, you never know. If that gal with the sign that said she came to the Royals game over the prom, maybe if he asked her out for next year's prom, if she have seen the kid's ability out there on the field, she might say yes and go to the prom with.
G strikes out Jones, 2 down.
Good pitch there. Little change up there that stayed down. Look at that. That's an excellent movement. That's right where you want to stay if you're going to be over the middle of the plate.
And here's Chris Davis. He has a perfect night. 2 home runs and 2 singles. He homered to left field in the second inning. That was against Medlin. And then he singled off of second base in the third. and then single to right, a little bloop to right in the 4th inning, driving in a run. And now that throw, it's by Hosmer, and then it got by Infante. If Infante plays that, he might be able to throw back to first and get Machado. Machado was on his way until he realized how that ball bounced off the netting in front of the dugout suite.
Royals catch a break there.
One ball, one strike.
You could see Salvador Perez wants that ball belt high or above because he knows how dangerous Davis is on the low pitch. He's saying, get it up, man. Come on. Need it up high. Hitters like to know that if they swing at a pitch, but he knew that that was out of the zone.
Got it up there again and strikes him out. So he hits the target. Davis is out for the first time tonight. And Dylan G has pitched 2 1/3 scoreless out of the Royals bullpen. Great night to be outside. Warm Saturday night. Kauffman Stadium, sellout crowd. The Royals are down 7-3. Baltimore scored in 3 consecutive innings. They got 2 in the second. The Royals tied it in the bottom of the second, and Baltimore got 1 in the third and 4 in the fourth. Chris Davis has driven in 2. Salvador Perez has a 2-run home run. And Tyler Wilson, who's making his first start of the year, pitches into the 6th inning. Ball 1 to Lorenzo Cain, who leads off our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Martin Cain from KCMO. Any help from the truck? What do you think, Cain?
You got it.
Can. We'll go with Cain, with Lorenzo Cain at the plate.
Yeah.
If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Martin wins $1,200. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, the Royals will tie the game, and Martin wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals. Cain just missed a hanging breaking ball, and he's down in the count 1-2.
And if the Royals are going to get to Tyler Wilson, they might have to shorten up their swing a little bit. Now Lorenzo's going to take this one and take his home run swing, and he just missed it off of Weeder's shoulder. Shorten up. Shorten up and start putting the ball in play, and see if they can get a little frenzy hitting going. Brian Mattis is out in their bullpen, the left-hander, and he's ready. Showalter giving this kid the opportunity to continue in this game after Moose.
Davis comes way off the bag. Safe at first. Kane, no further advance. Look at where Chris Davis is right now. He is closer to second base than he is to first base. That was clearly not his play.
Right. And you know, sometimes you make up your mind, I'm going to go get it, and he did. I mean, if he stays home, that's a routine out. And the screen saved the ball from going into the dugout, or else Lorenzo Cain would have been at second base, and now that's it for the young man. Nice job.
5+ innings. Brian Mattis just off the disabled list is a Chevy call to the bullpen. He'll face Eric Hosmer.
With Sprint's Unlimited plan.
Sold-out crowd here at Kauffman Stadium. Full day of baseball around the majors as Panera takes us around the league. Chicago wins at Cleveland, blasts Detroit, Washington behind Tanner Roark, and Seattle and LA just underway. Our premier Mazda game break takes us to Chicago, and it is a walk-off winner in the 11th for Jose Abreu. The White Sox move to 12-6. They're tied for first place at the moment with the Royals. Have been telling you about the show on Monday on Fox Sports Kansas City, Cuba, baseball's final frontier. Jose Abreu, proud product of Cuba. We showed you Yasiel Puig before. So that show on Monday, followed by Hy-Vee Royals Live at 8:30 from Anaheim.
All right, Joel, we look forward to that. Brian Mattis was on the disabled list to begin the season with a back problem. So this is his first appearance of the regular season, and he gets Eric Hosmer with a runner at first, and he jumps ahead of Hosmer. No balls and 2 strikes.
Mattis likes his fastball. He'll go 90 to 94 miles an hour. He'll take a little bit off occasionally to get some sink to it, but those last 2 fastballs are pretty straight. Slider, curve, and a good changeup for righties.
Mattis and Hosmer were back-to-back picks in the first round of the 2008 draft. Mattis, and this is very rare, he was drafted in the first round twice. He was taken in the first round out of high school, and he decided he wanted to go to college, so he went to the University of San Diego. And then in 2008, the Orioles took him 4th overall, 1 pick behind Eric Hosmer.
Wow. Well, you know, you got to be talented to do that. And I don't know how you turn down a first-round opportunity the first time. Usually that's good enough money to get to buy out your college. So credit to him. He wanted to go start his education. It's always good because baseball will end someday. You need something to fall back on. Hosmer getting some good swings, especially the first 2 fastballs. Now Mattis is starting to go with a slider, a little breaking ball here, because he feels Hosmer's swings. Those were 2 good swings he had on it.
Got him reaching. And Scope will make the play. 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. Don't forget to get your copy of the updated version of Dayton Moore's book, More Than a Season. Now with 2 new chapters, the book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership, and the process of rebuilding a championship culture here in Kansas City. 100% of the book sales support Dayton's charity, See You in the Major Leagues. It's available at the Majestic Team Store, and autographed copies are available at the Royals Authentic Store. 1 out to Kendrys Morales. Kendrys is 0 for 2. He drove Adam Jones to the wall in center field in the 4th inning for an out. It is a warm night on April the 23rd, and Kansas Cityans will know that that must mean the wind is blowing out of the south. This warm, this time of year, that's usually the case, and that translates to the wind blowing from right to left. So anything in the air to center field, left center, and straightaway left are going to get some help.
Ryan Mattis being careful, staying away from him with soft stuff. Very challenged him there. Morales hitting .429 from the right side. .205 from the left side.
Little bit low.
He's got home runs from both sides of the plate and equal RBIs, 4 and 4. He's got 8 overall. Might as well make it 10 here with 1 swing.
Off the end of the bat, so it's sinking. And Kim does not have Alex Gordon's range, to say the least. Kane stops at second, and the Royals have 2 on with 1 out.
Nice job by Morales with the changeup. It's on the outer half of the plate. He hits it off the end of the bat, and sometimes outfielders have a difficult time reading that, especially from a big guy like Morales.
Two on, 1 out. Alex Gordon at the plate. Alex is 1 for 2 tonight with a single and a run scored. He is 2 for 8 against Mattis, and both hits are for extra bases.
He threw 2 straight heaters to Haas. Went with a little slider there.
That's Michael Gibbons with a little Louis Tion turn there.
Yep.
Warming up for the Orioles with Perez and Infante coming up after Alex Gordon, right-hand batters. That slider's in for a strike, and it's 1-1. A lot of little ones here tonight.
It's the trendy thing to do now in Kansas City. Come to a Royals game. Be entertained.
Inside, 2-1.
Alex is getting a read on those sliders. When it starts right at him or just off the inside of him, it's going to be a strike to hit. Showalter has the righty ready for Salvador Perez.
Rounded foul. Alex is out in front of that pitch, way out in front of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kane reached on an error by the first baseman Davis, and with 1 out, Morales singled to left. Full count.
It's a good take right here, and Mattis likes that location.
He walked him. So the potential tying run comes to the plate. And that potential tying run is Salvador Perez. And remember, it's our Sonic Slam inning. And Buck Showalter is going to go with Givens to pitch to Sal with the bases loaded, 1 down. Another chance for the Royals to get back into the game. On his way, getting votes for president if he comes through here. Remember, it's our Sonic Slam inning. Bases loaded, 1 down. Salvi already has a 2-run home run. That was back in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 2, and he's facing Michael Givens, who's on for the 9th time this year.
You see those 14 strikeouts. That's tied for 4th among American League relievers. So he's got a good arm. He starts him off with the slider. That's smart. A lot of hitters, bases loaded, looking for that first pitch fastball. He's got 91 to 98. Heavy sinker. Slider. You just saw the slider. Occasional changeups.
Wieters got a glove on it. Salvi with 4 home runs, 13 RBIs this year. 3 of those home runs and 8 of the RBIs have been on this homestand. Had a wicked swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Hey, now it might be time to shorten up for Salvi and not look for the long ball. Although he has that swing, you may not get that pitch from Givens.
Very deceiving numbers if you just concentrate on the Orioles bullpen ERA. For many, many, many years, the way to evaluate a pitching staff was to look at their ERA. And then the statistic of percentage of inherited runners became more of a factor. So the Orioles have a good ERA, but they've allowed almost half of their inherited runners to score. So 2nd best in the league in ERA, bottom in the league in percentage of inherited runners scoring.
Well, that's good for the Royals. They need to get back in this game here. Salvi trying to go to right field on 2 straight fastballs. Givens looks or thinks like he can get that fastball by Salvi.
Ooh, almost nailed him on the belt.
And, you know, that's wicked. This kid's got a very deceptive windup, and the ball explodes out of his hand. So he's really going to be tough to square up. Wieters might be going out there to tell him right now, look, we've thrown him 3 straight fastballs in a row. Maybe we better go soft again.
He won't care how we pronounce his name if Salvi comes through here with the bases loaded. Just got a piece of it.
Look at that. I mean, that is drop down slider angle and really tough on righties. Salvi did a great job of just trying to stay alive.
So he went even farther outside and he gets the strikeout. So it's up to Omar Infante with 2 down. Michael Givens is an interesting story. He is a former position player turned pitcher. And usually when that happens, it takes a while for the player to learn how to pitch, get through the minor leagues, and get to the big leagues. But it only took 3 seasons for Givens after he made the conversion to get to the big leagues. Slider for a strike to Infante.
He's tough. Showalter knew what he was doing when he brought him in to face Salvi, and now Infante, and he's got a drop down sidearm slider. And to go with that, he's got an upper 90s fastball that runs in on the hitter. So he's got a little bit of east and west movement on his pitches with different speeds.
Trying to shoot it the other way, and that's back into the crowd. And Wieters goes back out for a chat. Michael Givens was drafted as an infielder and had 3 years of professional baseball. And then in 2013, he was converted to pitcher. In 2015, he was in the big leagues.
Wow, man, you know, that's amazing how he could, with that type of delivery, and he came up with that. That's a lot of moving parts. Well, figured he's going to go slider off and off the plate again, further and further off, just like he did Salvi. But that's amazing that he could find his rhythm and find his location and command. Obviously a strong arm.
Two and two.
Besides the arm angle from the side, which makes it tough to keep your shoulder in for a righty, he hides the ball well. The hitter can't see the ball at all. He hides it behind his glove and he comes set. And then he hides it behind his body, and the hitter doesn't see it till now. And they have the report on Infante that he loves that fastball, so they're not going to give it into him.
Speaking of Givens coming set, does he come set?
It's pretty close.
Doesn't look like it to me. 3 and 2.
Long enough.
Fonte is down on strikes. The Royals had the bases loaded with 1 out, and Michael Givens comes out of the bullpen and strikes out Perez and Infante to keep it at 7-3.
Hey, it's Mark.
Still 7-3 Baltimore as Michael Givens bailed the Orioles out at the bottom of the 6th inning. Final game of the series is tomorrow. It's the final game of the homestand. Coverage begins at 12:30, and then it's Yordano Ventura against right-hander Mike Wright. First pitch tomorrow is at 1:15. We hope to see you in person. It's a family fun day Sunday. And then the Royals are back out to the West Coast.
Fortunately, dodging that cold weather bug. It's beautiful.
Dylan G has done a nice job out of the Royals bullpen. He has pitched 2 1/3 scoreless with 3 strikeouts. Mark Trumbo leads off, and G is in with a strike.
Well, it's the value of a guy who can eat up 3 or 4 innings a long man. You got to have him. Sometimes a starter like Chris Medlin wasn't on top of his game tonight, and you got to have somebody else that can come in and hopefully eat up a few innings and save the rest of the pen.
Kane in center field brings it down. Remember, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Royals wherever you go. Inside to Matt Wieters. Wieters is 0 for 3. 1-1.
Gee using an assortment of pitches. Sinking fastball, moves down and away from lefties. A nice little slider in and changeup as well.
And now 2 balls and 1 strike. He had some good years with the Mets. He was a 13-game winner in 2011. A 12-game winner in 2013, and just 2 years ago he was the Mets opening day starter.
Did I mention a curveball too? So he's got all 4 pitches at his disposal, and when he's a command guy, and when he's on, he's tough to hit.
Infante at second base, and that takes care of Wieters. 2 down.
Let's check out his 3 strikeouts tonight. Very confident, calm. First outing since his newborn second child, and everything's down. Sinker. Changeup he got away with. That was a fastball up he got him in there. Salvi talked him into getting him climbing the ladder on Davis, and that was smart. He executed some good pitches on those guys.
Outside to J.J. Hardy. He walked and scored in the 2nd inning. Otherwise 0 for 2. Good movement. Fastball riding in on J.J. Hardy. 2-1.
You know, another low risk, high reward acquisition by the Royals. Oh, beautiful changeup, man. That's nice. Same arm slot, same arm speed as his fastball, and as the hitter's kind of thinking twice about it. Look at that. Pulls the string.
On the ground to Moustakas. He gets a nice big hop. And over to Hosmer. 3 up, 3 down against Dylan G in the top of the 7th inning. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are down by 4. Baseball is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. And by T-Mobile. Get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. Dyson, Escobar, and Moustakas against Michael Givens. Dyson into shallow center field. Jones is there, and there is one down. Dyson is 1 for 3. Royals have had 2 great opportunities to chip away at the Orioles' lead in the 5th inning. They scored a run, and they had 2 on with 1 out. Middle of the order coming up. And Tyler Wilson got Mike Moustakas to ground into a double play. And then in the 6th inning, the Royals had the bases loaded with 1 out. And Givens came on, and he struck out Perez and Infante.
I want some good sliders. And, you know, he's not just a thumber either, man. He's got some good fastball ability for 94, 98.
Up the middle, Hardy is there and throws out Escobar. Esky's 1 for 4. And now Mike Moustakas, and with a 4-run lead and 2 outs and nobody on base, Buck Showalter's going to make a pitching change and bring on a right-hander to replace a right-hander. Brad Rock will replace Michael Givens. Follow Royals baseball live on your phone and tablet with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment with Game Day. Video highlights, StatCast, bilingual access, split views, radio broadcast news, and more. Brad Brock, a right-hander, to face Mike Moustakas. Brock is on for the 9th time.
Now the right-hander with some pretty hard stuff. 90 to 95. He sinks it. There it is. Beauty there. That looks like he pulled the string on that one. That's his little split finger he works. Got a slider to go with it. Split finger pitch, when it's thrown, it looks to a hitter a lot like a changeup. Moves down, away from the lefty.
The Orioles have gotten Moustakas to ground out 3 times tonight. Once into a double play. That was in the 5th inning. All those at bats against Tyler Wilson. Royals have had the right men at the plate when they were trying to get back into this game in the 5th and 6th innings. Mike Moustakas, the way he is swinging the bat, 2 on 1 out, but Wilson got him to ground into a double play. Now into center field, and Jones is there. So Brock saves the game, coming on with 2 outs and nobody on in a 4-run game. Four as we head to the 8th inning. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. They may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Sellout crowd here tonight, 39,900 on a giveaway night. Brian Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, with producer Brian Shapiro, director Steve Kurtenbach, and associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and Dave Holtzman. Dylan G has done a great job out of the Royals bullpen, saving the bullpen tonight. Chris Medlin went 3 2/3 and was charged with all 7 runs, and now Dylan G has gone 3 1/3 innings and it's just given up 2 hits and only 2 base runners.
Well, like the Orioles last night, T.J. McFarland did his job when Buck handed him the ball. Now Dylan's doing it for Ned Yost. Excellent job. These kind of outings right here elevate the pitcher's stature, makes him big, and for his manager especially, because the manager is trying to manage the innings out of that bullpen and not having to go to another guy because they get lit up. Good job mixing in all of his pitches, keeping him off balance. Fastball, slider, changeup, and a curve.
It'll be Scope, Kim, and Rickard. Dylan G, if the Royals were in a pinch, has proven over his major league career and this year that he could be a fill-in starter, but he is fully a reliever at the moment, pitching out of the stretch with nobody on base. So preparing himself when perhaps he might have to come into a game with men on base. Of course, if you pitch exclusively out of the stretch, you can also warm up a lot quicker, so you're not getting loose both out of the windup and out of the stretch. 7th or part of 7th big league season. He's a winning pitcher, more wins than losses, an ERA just a shade over 4, and he's not one of those guys that when he was drafted you figure, well, he's going straight to the big leagues. He was a 21st round draft pick of the Mets out of the University of Texas Arlington, the same college that produced former Royals manager Trey Hillman.
Man, Scope, he's just battling and fouling off everything, and Dylan is doing a good job of keeping it out of the middle. He's staying on the corners, and Scope here, he's saying, all right, I'm just going to try to keep flicking those out there. Guy in his 7th career bullpen appearance. Didn't have a lot of them. Oh, man.
He just would not give in.
That was beautiful. He saved his best pitch for last. Yeah, great pitch. Had him in the swing mode, fouling off several pitches, starts the breaker up, belt high, ends up down around the ankles and off the plate.
So 4 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings, and now Hyun-Soo Kim. Kim drove in his first big league run in the 2nd inning with a single. He is 1 for 3. Hosmer made a swipe at it, and that rolls it towards second base and allows Kim to reach with 1 out. That'll be a base hit for Kim, his 2nd hit of the game, and now he's going to come out for a pinch runner. It'll be Nolan Reimold, who is also an upgrade defensively.
Haas just couldn't lock it down in the webbing in the end of his glove. Good effort.
And now Joey Rickard. So Nolan Reimold is at first base with 1 down. Rickard has bounced back nicely tonight. He struck out 4 times in last night's game. 1 for 4 tonight, and hustling up the first base line on what should have been a double play, an inning double play in the 4th inning, and would have been a scoreless 4th inning. But hustling up the line, he prevented the double play, and the Orioles scored 4, and that happens to be the Royals' deficit. Up the right field line, Dyson is there for the 2nd out.
Dylan G, that ball is just moving left and right and down. He's got some good action now. When fouls went off, Dyson was able to close it quickly. Nice speed out there.
And now Manny Machado. Fastball at 92 by him.
I mean, you know what? The ball just has extreme movement. It's really hitting his spots, and when he's on, this is what we see. Misses the barrel.
One ball and 1 strike.
As you look at his name, I knew I was going to have trouble with his name. G, and it's G-E-E.
It looks like it should be pronounced Gee, like you want to, but it's right. G.
Yeah, right.
2 balls and 1 strike. I remember when he first came up with the Mets, and we'd see his name in a box score or did something and a little hesitation, but it is G. So just the E and the E are silent. You may as well just have a G on the back there. Dylan G.
Thank you.
Into the crowd. I mentioned that he went to the University of Texas Arlington. Former Royals manager Trey Hillman went there. Dave Owen, who was on his coaching staff, went there, and so did Gene Watson, the Royals director of professional scouting. He is probably the most well-known of the three from UTA. I think Gino is in their Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Sounds good to me.
Do you know Gene Watson for a short period of time was a radio broadcaster for the Texas Rangers? Did you know that?
I did not.
He did. He was a broadcast major, and they let him do a game, and he was good.
Ah. And I knew that Gino had worked down in the clubhouse at one time in his life. How about Dylan G? Fantastic job.
Royals have 6 outs to go on offense. They have the middle of the order coming up in the bottom of the 8th, down by 4. Royals are down by 4 coming up in the 8th inning. Nolan Reimold ran for Hyun-Soo Kim. He is a much better defensive outfielder, so he stays in and left. Brad Brock, who got the final out of the 7th inning, will get Kane, Hosmer, and Morales.
Once again, Brock at 6'6", 210. Low to mid-90s fastball, slider, split finger.
That'll be out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lorenzo reached on that error in the 6th inning, and later in that inning, with the Royals down by 4, had the bases loaded, 1 out, and Michael Givens came out of the bullpen and saved the Orioles. That's a called strike, low in the strike zone. 1 and 2 on Kane. Givens, you know, the Royals had the right men at the plate when they had chances for big innings in the 5th and the 6th. On the ground foul outside of third base. In the 5th inning, the Royals had 2 on, 1 out, down by 4. Mike Moustakas at the plate. That's the guy you wanted up there with the way he has swung the bat. And Tyler Wilson's pitch count was getting up there. But Wilson got Moustakas to ground into a double play. And then the bases loaded, 1 out in the 6th inning, and Salvador Perez was at the plate. Salvy's having a monster homestand, but Givens Got Salvi and Infante to get out of that mess.
Too bad they had their opportunities tonight, that's for sure.
Fights off that pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Shin-Ming Wong and Danny Duffy are warming up in the Royals bullpen. Dylan G has given the Royals 4 1/3 innings out of the bullpen. Still 2-2. Tied up. Hardy fields. Throws. Out. I think the Royals might want to take a look at that. First base umpire Corey Blazer called Kane out. Lorenzo nor Rusty Kuntz reacted as if the call had been missed. And the Royals will not challenge.
Nope.
And it was the right call.
Just got it. Good hustle.
J.J. Hardy reminds me a little bit of Omar Vizquel. He's not as flashy as Vizquel, but he has just enough arm. Or David Eckstein. You saw him quite a bit in Anaheim. He does not have Alcides Escobar's arm, or the type of arm you'd expect out of a Gold Glove shortstop. And J.J. Hardy has won 3, but he's one of those shortstops where it seems like every play is bang bang.
Yep, and he makes it. He makes all the routine plays, and every once in a while he'll make a flashy play. But really, that's what you want out of your infielders. Make those plays 10 out of 10 times.
2-0 to Hosmer. Brock with a fastball at 96.
No, Hardy's always been a shortstop. Ooh.
Well hit center field. Jones runs it down. There's another Gold Glover out there. So Hosmer is 1 for 4, and now 2 down in the 8th inning.
Well, he squared that one up. Man, that was a linea if I've ever seen one. That's Spanish for line drive, by the way. I mean, good jump. Perfect. Anyway, Hardy, you brought up David Eckstein. Eckstein was a second baseman his whole life, college and everything. And they moved him to shortstop, and he became a world champion shortstop. And like you said, the scouts would call him just enough Eckstein, just enough to get it over there and get the guy. Bang, bang. Didn't have the great arm, but you know, you really count on guys that can position themselves right, get them in the right position to make those routine plays, and you win games when you catch the ball. Royals fans know that.
Oh, 0-1 to Kendrys Morales. And now Scope has to run in from right field, and he gets Morales. So Brock gets the Royals in order, and we go to the 9th. Baltimore leads 7-3. will take over in the top of the 9th inning after Dylan G went 4 1/3 scoreless. Joel and Monty will be discussing his outing. His first in a week, by the way, after going home and being there for the birth of his daughter Charlotte in Fort Worth, Texas. Dylan G 4 1/3, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts. Chris Medlin had a tough night. He gave up 7 runs, 9 hits in 3 2/3. And the Orioles bunched all their runs together in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings, scoring 7. And the biggest play tonight was the double play that was not turned in the top of the 4th inning. It'll be Adam Jones, Chris Davis, and Mark Trumbo in the top of the 9th inning.
G did a lot by saving the back end of that bullpen. Duffy, Hochevar, just outstanding work. Wong's a premier sinker ball pitcher. He'll range 90, 88 maybe to 93. Mixes in a little breaking ball, a little slider.
Two and one on Jones. Wong last pitched 3 nights ago against the Tigers and gave up 1 run, 3 hits in 1 inning. There's that sinker. 2 and 2. The Orioles have not been in this position much over the last few years. If you include the 2014 American League Championship Series, the Royals have won 11 of the last 14 with Baltimore. Good sinker again, in on his hand. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Royals have won 3 consecutive season series from Baltimore. It's the first time in the Royals franchise history that they've won 3 straight season series against the O's. Here's another little trivia question for you, Hud.
Okay.
Since the beginning of 2013, what 2 teams have won the most games in the American League?
Oh, the Royals and the Orioles.
Wow, how did you know that?
Did my homework. Shocker.
Leadoff walk to Jones. That's the 3rd time that Jones has reached with a walk tonight. Did it have anything to do with these are the 2 teams that are playing tonight when I asked that question?
Yeah, no.
Well, there you have it. Royals have 9 more wins than Baltimore. Their big season was that 2014 year when they won 96, but the Royals swept them.
You're beginning to be like Al in the truck, predictable. Had to do with the teams that were here. And speaking of that, those trivia questions, man, they're really difficult this year.
How about 3 of the 5 are from the Central?
Impressive. It's not going to be easy. White Sox won in a walk-off again today. And they got a ton of lefties in their rotation. Lefties sometimes give us trouble. It'll be a fun year. It's not going to be easy.
They've got Sale, Quintana,
Rondon.
Yep.
And is Dank still there?
Danks is still there. 1 and 2 on Chris Davis, and then they went out to boost their offense. They got Todd Frazier. They got Brett Lawrie. Jimmy Rollins was a minor league invite. He won the starting shortstop position. They got Austin Jackson. It's a whole new team. 2-2. And maybe we're just biased, or I won't say we, maybe I'm just biased because I've seen how the Royals have turned things around. And before the Royals, it was Minnesota leading the division for a long stretch of time. Into right field. That's a base hit for Davis. He has a 4-hit game. Jones will stop at second base, and the Orioles have 2 on with nobody out. Well, actually, it was Detroit in between the Royals and Minnesota, but Minnesota's similar organization to the Royals, and the link between the two was the way they put their teams together. Homegrown players, brought them up together. They lost together at the big league level. They won together at the big league level. So maybe I'm biased when I look at a team like the White Sox, and I think, too many new pieces, too many players from different organizations. Where's the chemistry? Where's the feel for one another, knowing their role, their limitations, knowing their teammates' roles and their limitations? And we'll see.
Yeah, there seems to be drama that follows that team year to year. This year it was Adam LaRoche. Didn't seem to faze him. Laz Diaz get a little exercise running out there to the mound to hand deliver the ball to Wong. That's because Salvi took a foul tip right off of his. No, it wasn't a foul tip. It's, how about this? There it is right there, right off of his left big toe.
Two and one on Trumbo. Trumbo is the Orioles' designated hitter. Last night he played right field, and I remember 4 years ago the Royals opened in Anaheim and the Angels tried to use him as their third baseman. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Remember that?
We were there for that, and that was really a tough night for Trumbo.
He made, what, 3 errors, I think, in the first 2 games of that series, and that was an experiment that didn't last very long.
Dropped a routine pop-up after that was his second error, I remember. He had the jitters.
Off the plate and foul. Still 2-2. We were talking a few innings ago about Chris Davis and the pressure that he may have felt. I'm sure he did, being a Texas native and a Rangers fan and being compared to Mark Teixeira and then being drafted by the Rangers. Well, how about Mark Trumbo? He was born in Anaheim, right? Then he grew up
to Villa Park High School, right 15 minutes away from the ballpark.
Drafted by the Angels, playing for the Angels.
He was a pitcher in high school, and he threw 90 plus.
Skips away from Salvi, and now Salvi can take his pick. He'll go for the lead runner. And Jones just going to make sure he doesn't get hurt in a 4-run game in the 9th inning. So that's the second time tonight that Salvi's gunned down an Orioles runner trying to advance to third.
Did the right thing. You want to run him back to the base he came from, if you can.
Going to call that out advancing, not caught stealing, out advancing. 2-5. Davis moves up to second, 1 down, and it's still 3 balls and 2 strikes on Trumbo.
When Wong is right, he's getting guys to foul that ball off the plate, off their toes, and everything. I mean, his ball really does have that great sink action to it, and hitters are going to hit the top half of the ball most of the time when he's on his game.
Remember someone telling me that good sinkers get ground balls, great sinkers get foul balls off of feet. That sinker stayed up, and that is lined to center field and over Lorenzo Cain. Davis will be waved home, and Mark Trumbo has driven in 4.
Oh, man.
It is 8-3 Baltimore.
We saw him almost tear down the left field wall last night on a line drive, and this one right here never got 20 feet above the ground. There's a sinker that didn't sink, and this big man barrels it like that. I mean, you can't square it up any better. And it just was.
It's like a 3-iron.
P-rod. It was 3-iron. It's a baseball term.
And we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
The Orioles have 8 runs on 14 hits, and Matt Wieters has nothing to do with it. He is 0 for 4. Every other Oriole has at least a hit, and they've really spread out their offense tonight. 7 of the 9 have either an RBI or a run scored. Trumbo's had the biggest night driving in runs. He has 4. Chris Davis has scored 3 times. Still 0-2 on Wieters. Doesn't happen very often to position players, but Matt Wieters a couple of seasons ago had Tommy John surgery. That not only affected his 2014 season, but his 2015 season. He only played 101 games in those 2 years combined. Strike 3 called. So he is 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts, as his team has scored 8 runs on 14 hits, 2 down in the 9th inning.
It's good movement on that one. That was straight over the middle. Well, it was elevated, but it locked him up.
And now J.J. Hardy. The Orioles started the season 7-0. They were the last team in the major leagues without a loss, and they were scoring almost 6 runs per game. They had 4 games with 5 or more runs, and then coming into tonight they had only won 3 of 8, and their offense was down. And if the first 10th of the season is any indication of how the Orioles will fly, no pun intended, it'll be dictated by their offense, because their pitching has not gotten off to a good start. They have fewer ways to beat an opponent compared to the Royals. It would seem, at least.
I would agree. Well, we witnessed tonight, though, what they can do when they hit that ball. I mean, sure, they had a few balls that were hit soft, but they know what to do with mistakes.
Up the middle, Escobar picks it off and throws out his mentor, once upon a time back in the Brewers organization, J.J. Hardy. Sellout crowd here tonight. Tough night for the Royals so far. They are down by 5. good time. They're not paying too much attention to the scoreboard. It's a Saturday night. It's past their bedtime. They're having a great time among the 39,900 here tonight. It's been a rough one for the Royals, down by 5. Brad Brock at the final out of the 7th. Retired the Royals in order in the 8th and stays on for Gordon, Perez, and Infante in the 9th. Slider, strike 1 to Alex. Tyler Wilson making his first start of the season for Baltimore. He had been pitching out of the bullpen. 0-2 on Alex. He went 5 innings and gave up 3 runs, 6 hits. Now that doesn't go down as a so-called quality start according to the statistic, but I'll bet his manager thought that that was a quality start.
Absolutely right, he did. Especially when Buck told him he was starting. Didn't get a lot, but he got a thank you. I'll be ready. And he showed it. Nice job by Wilson.
That is an area of concern for the Orioles. Tonight is their 16th game of the year, and they have 3 quality starts, lowest in the major leagues. Starter ERA 13th in the American League, but they can hit. 0-1 on Salvi. He is 1 for 3 with a 2-run home run.
Quality start. 6 innings, 3 runs or less.
3 earned runs or less.
Okay.
Yeah. There's Ubaldo Jimenez. Line into the left field corner and foul. Good job. It wasn't that good, but good job. Did he catch it on the fly, or did he pick it up off the ground?
I don't know. He's pretty proud. He might have caught it on the fly.
Three pitches and down goes Salvi. 95 with that fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts, and now the Royals are down to their last out. A strike to Infante. And now 0-2. Brad Brock has faced 6 and retired 6. And he's just trying to get this thing over with here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Strikeout of Gordon, a strikeout of Perez, and now 0-2 against Infante. Off the plate. Now we'll see what kind of fielder he is as he backs down the back slope of the mound. And that'll do it. The Orioles even the series at 1 game apiece. Chris Davis had a big night. He tied a career high with 4 hits. 3 runs scored, a home run, 2 RBIs. Manny Machado, he's got his arm around Machado. He extended his hitting streak to 16 games. And the Orioles with 8 runs on 14 hits win by 5. Mark Trumbo drove in 4. We'll be right back.